I've always been fascinated in engineering and power generation. So it was no surprise when I studied electrical engineering at university, and I later went on to work for the National Grid. A lot of people take the energy that they use for granted, that the electricity will always be available at the flick of a switch. But there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes to make that possible, and the move to renewable energy is making that even more challenging. I've been an electrical engineer for 15 years now, working for various different companies, generally on major infrastructure projects, and I came to Pacific Green 3 years ago in its infancy. Pacific Green is a technology company that develops, constructs and operates battery energy storage. Traditionally, electricity has been generated by burning fossil fuels or through nuclear power plants. And as we transition to renewable sources, such as wind and solar, that are intermittent, large-scale battery energy storage systems are needed to level out the supply and demand.
Renewables, for example, the solar and the wind power, they're not there all the time when wind is not blowing or when the sun is not shining. So there is a big challenge in balancing generation with demand, especially when demand is high.
There are really two main ways that we operate. The first of which is that we would, for example, charge in the middle of the night when there's excess wind power. And then at 6 or 7 in the morning, when everyone switches on their kettle and demand flies up, we would then discharge the batteries. But there's a second, more dynamic way, which is unique to batteries, where we switch the batteries into an automatic mode, and if there is a fault or a sudden change on the grid, the batteries are able to respond within a fraction of a second and provide stability and ultimately prevent blackouts. Our first battery storage site in the UK was Richborough Energy Park. The first phase went live at the end of 2023. The site capacity is 100 megawatt hours. To give you some context, that's enough energy to provide 100,000 homes at peak demand for an hour. We are now mid-construction on the much larger 375 megawatt hour second phase, which will go live in 2026. Early next year, we'll install the generator transformer and all of the 400,000 volt switchgear, followed by installing control and protection equipment and 33,000 volt switchgear in the medium voltage control room. This site's perfect for battery energy storage because it was the old site of the Richborough coal-fired power station, which was demolished in 1996. That means we had the high-powered infrastructure already in place for our connection to the national grid. The coal-fired power station had the cooling towers, which were visible for miles around. Battery energy storage has the advantage that all of our equipment is only 2 or 3 meters high, so that we're able to blend into the environment and have a really minimal visual impact. Operation of the site also has a very minimal environmental impact and produces very low noise, air and water emissions. It's not perfect. There are environmental challenges, such as sourcing the raw materials for the batteries. And as a company, we're always working to develop new solutions and overcome those challenges. Battery storage is a crucial part of the transition to renewables and combating climate change. The development of more battery sites like this will allow us to bring more renewables online and to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels.